Welcome back to another edition of the Optimized Weekly Market Recap. I'm David Ferreira, Portfolio Manager with Optimized Wealth Management. And as always for today's recap, we'll take a look at last week's activity in the markets, as well as what we're watching for in the week ahead. Big tech rebounded last week, generating strong performance after weeks of leadership by value-oriented companies. We're also seeing softening economic data suggest a Fed rate cut is coming this week. The Nasdaq and the S&P 500 were the best performing indexes on strong tech performance last week of 5.95% and 4.02% respectively. The TSX also had a standout performance up 3.46%, followed by the Dow ending the week up 2.6%. Zooming in on sector performance, technology and consumer discretionary were the strongest performing components, while financials and energy were the weakest. Looking at the events from this past week, data released on Wednesday showed the U.S. headline inflation rate dipped from 2.9% in July to 2.5% in August, marking the lowest rate since February of 2021. Energy costs also fell by 4%, and as declining inflation continues to raise investor sentiment as the market price in the future benefits from falling interest rates going forward. U.S. producers' prices edged up 0.2% in August as the cost of services rebounded. With the labor markets and core inflation stabilizing, the markets believe the Fed will cut rates by at least 25 basis points at its September 18th meeting this week. Building permits in Canada also rose sharply in August and exceeded forecasts, supporting growth in Canadian construction and raw material spaces. With a 20.1% surge in approved units, increasing construction activity should help bolster the Canadian economy going forward. For the week ahead, on Wednesday, we'll watch the Fed closely as U.S. interest rates may decline for the first time since this rate hike cycle began in March of 2022. U.S. retail sales data and weekly jobless claims are set to be announced on Thursday. These figures will provide valuable insight on the strength of the U.S. consumer and the state of the U.S. economy. And on Tuesday, Canadian inflation data for August will be released. And if the downward trend continues, it becomes more likely that the Bank of Canada will make further interest rate cuts over the coming quarters. Looking at the corporate earnings calendar, notable companies reporting include FedEx, General Mills, and Steelcase. And that's all for this week's edition of the Weekly Market Recap. As always, thank you for watching and see you next week.